Hello everyone. Welcome to this lecture in the Neural Networks from Scratch series. In the previous lectures on convolutional neural networks, we have looked at filters in two dimensions, and in the lecture before that, we looked in detail at filters in one dimensions. Today we are going to look at how to represent filtering layer in convolutional neural networks. So just like there are hidden layers in a feed forward neural network, in convolutional neural network, there are different types of layers, and one such layer is called as the filtering layer. Naturally, the filtering layer consists of filters, and we'll look at the nomenclature of how these filters are represented. In neural networks, the neurons are there in each layer, and we stack them below each other in a visual representation. In convolutional neural networks, it's a bit different. First, let us revise the concept of filters which we saw in the previous class. Imagine there is an image which is a 4 by 4 image like this. There are some white pixels in this image and there are some dark pixels in this image. What happens in the filtering layer is that we first choose the number of filters which we want in this layer. So let's say I make the choice that I want 4 filters in this particular layer. What is done is that these 4 filters are then applied to the image. So let's say that every filter which I have is 2 by 2 filter. This 2 by 2 filter then starts on this image and then it performs the convolution operation as it slides through this entire image. And then when one filter operates, the size is a 4 by 4 image. But when four such filters operate on this base image, then there are four 4 by 4 images. So now we actually have a tensor whose dimension is 4 by 4 multiplied by 4. And this depth is called as the channel depth. If you want more details about essentially how the convolution operation is performed on every single section of the image, please look at the lectures, the previous two lectures in the convolutional neural networks part. I just want to show you um, the visual animation regarding how this convolution operation is performed. So let's say if you look at one particular filter, I told you that this filter starts at a particular location and then slides through, right? And then it performs the convolution operation everywhere it goes, which results in a 4 by 4 image. And there are four such filters. Let us look at the a visual representation of this. So here you can see that I have a coffee cup. So first what is done is that the coffee cup is divided into three channels: the red channel, the green channel and the blue channel. For now I want you to focus on the red channel and I will show you how a particular filter is applied. What's done here is that on this red channel there are 10 filters which are applied: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So let us see the result of applying each filter. So when I click on this, you will see what the filter does. So here you can see the filter slides over every pixel of the image and then it performs or then it outputs a resultant which is a different uh, image here, which is still, it's still maintaining the size as the original image, but this is how the filtering operation is performed. If you want to see it in more detail, this is exactly how the filtering operation is performed. So I'll move my cursor here. It's at the top left right now, if you can see on the on this coffee cup image, and then I'll slowly move it to the right, then I'll move it down and I'll slowly again move it to the left. Whenever I'm pausing it at every single moment, you can see the convolution operation which is being performed. So what happens is that the filter drags through the entire image like this and then it produces a resultant image. This is exactly what I have shown here. Every filter, when it drags through the image and performs a convolution operation, it produces a resultant image of the same size. Since there are four such filters, we'll obtain a tensor which is 4 by 4 by 4, right? Now let's look at another filtering layer which operates on this tensor. So now this is my first filtering layer which I showed you. Now let me move to the second filtering layer. Look at the second filtering layer and look at the input to the second filtering layer. The input is a 4 by 4 by 4 tensor, right? So again, I have to decide two things. I have to decide the number of filters I want in this layer, and I also have to decide the dimension of each filter. So let's say that I decide that the size of the filter which I want in the next layer is a 4 by 4 filter, is a 2 by 2 filter. So in the next filter, the size is 2 by 2, but remember that it cannot just be 2 by 2. I'll need to add the channel depth also. So the filter which I'll construct in this next layer will be 2 by 2 by 4. And why do I need to add the channel depth? Because now there is a tensor. So here each the filter which went through this image was 2D because this image was 2D, but now this is a tensor. So when I look at a filter, it will be let me erase is 4 by 4 and mark it in orange color. So if I look at the filter in this second layer, it's a 2 by 2 filter for sure, but it also has a depth dimension because it will go through all of the four images which are stacked in the tensor. So then the dimension of the next layer filter will not just be 2 by 2, it will be 2 by 2 by 4. So then this 2 by 2 by 4 will convolve over this entire tensor, right? It will first start over here and then it will have this depth also. So it will produce one output value, then it will go here and then it will go here and then it will go here. So one such filter which is 2 by 2 by 4 will produce an output which is 4 by 4. So now you can see when one filter operates on this tensor, since the filter also has the same depth as the tensor depth, the output which is produced is 4 by 4. But in this layer, the second choice which we have to make is the number of filters which we want to use. And if we decide to use 10 filters, then each of those filters will create a 4 by 4 representation. And so the output of this layer will be 4 by 4 by 10. There will be 10 channels if we decide to use 10 filters. Let me go over this part again. Whenever we look at a filtering layer, we have to decide two things. We have to decide the number of filters and we have to decide the size of the filter. So first, the size of the filter will be 2 by 2, and remember that the depth is already fixed. The depth of the filter has to be equal to the channel dimension of the previous layer output. So the previous layer output has a channel dimension or channel depth of 4. So the depth of the filters in this layer has to be 4. So the size of the filter will be 2 by 2 by 4. This 2 by 2 by 4 filter, it will convolve through this entire tensor, and when it convolves, it will generate an output which is 4 by 4. The second choice which we have to make is the number of filters. And if we decide to use 10 filters, each filter will produce a 4 by 4 output. So if we use 10 filters, then the output will be 4 by 4 by 10. So then this will be the output dimension of this filtering layer. And then we'll do the same process again. So remember, if we were to do the same process in the next filtering layer, first we have to decide the size of the filter. And the size, let's say I use a 3 by 3, but again remember that the depth of this will be fixed since the previous layer output has 10 channel depth. So the size of the filter has to be 3 by 3 by 10. And let's say if I use the number of filters as 20, then the output of this layer will be 4 by 4 by 20. This is how a filtering layer actually works in practice. Please keep in mind this operation because the filtering layer is one of the most fundamental operations in the convolutional neural networks. Again, I would like to show you this animation and let me zoom out a bit over here. So let's say I have a coffee cup. It is divided into three dimensions: red, green and blue initially. In each dimension, 10 filters are applied. So let's look at again this. Let me click on the first filter. The first filter convolves through this 2D. So now let me zoom over here. So this is the red channel, this is the green channel, and this is the blue channel, right? So the filter actually has to be 2 by 2 by 3. So here it is decomposed into three parts. And this is how the convolution operation is performed. You can even click over here to see the convolution operation. I'll be sharing the link to this animation. It's a brilliant animation which you can use to understand the concept of filtering layers. Now let us look at the nomenclature which we use. As I mentioned before, there are two parameters which we need to consider. The first is the number of filters. So let's say the number of filters is denoted by ML. L is the current layer. In this particular case, in the second layer, we decided to use 10 filters, right? So then ML will be equal to 10. And now let us look at the second parameter, which is the size of the filters. The size of the filter will be KL by KL by ML minus 1. So here it will be 2 by 2 by 4. And why am I using ML minus 1? Because remember the last dimension here, which is 4, depends on the channel depth of the previous filter. And the channel depth of the previous filter is just the number of filters which were used in that previous layer, which was ML minus 1. So the size of the filter will be fixed through the previous layer's channel depth, which is the number of filters in the previous layer, which is ML minus 1. So remember that the depth of the filter at the current layer is equal to the number of filters at the previous layer. This is very important and it's sometimes even asked in interview questions. The depth of the filter at the current layer is equal to the number of filters at the previous layer. So these are the two things, the number of filters which we discussed about and the size of the filters. There is a third parameter, however, which also needs to be taken into consideration, and that parameter is called as the stride. So let me explain to you what stride is all about. Let's say this is my image here, right? So if I have a filter which is designed, and let's say I want to compute the value for this pixel, I will first add a padding and then I will convolve this filter for this pixel. Let's say that produces a particular value, then I will move for this pixel. So it turns out that we don't need to apply the filter at every pixel. Basically we can leave a gap. So after I perform the convolution operation for this pixel, let's say I will leave a gap and then I will perform the convolution operation for this pixel, then I will perform for this pixel. Basically whenever I am doing the convolution operation, I am always leaving a gap of 1 pixel. This gap is called as the stride. If we want to reduce the output dimension, then stride is used. So for example, if the dimension of the input image is n by n, and if we use a stride of 2, which means that we always leave a gap of 1 between the current pixel and the next pixel which we consider, we'll roughly only use half of the pixels, right? So the new image size will be n by 2 multiplied by n by 2 pixels. So this is denoted by the variable SL, S for stride and L to denote that we are at the current layer. So this is how the filter is convolved across every pixel, but in stride we can leave a gap between the pixels, and the stride can be even huge. So you can do it for this and you can then do it for this, although it's not recommended because it reduces the amount of information in the current image. So if your input tensor has the dimensions of nl minus 1 by nl minus 1 by ml minus 1, the output tensor, when you apply the stride, it has the dimensions of nl by nl by ml. So remember that the nl is equal to nl minus 1 divided by sl, where sl is equal to the stride length. Important thing to note is that the stride actually does not affect the channel depth. So if the channel depth is ml minus 1, then the of the input tensor, if the channel depth is ml minus 1, the output tensor will also be equal to ml minus 1. So ml will be equal to ml minus 1. So normally the adding the stride does not affect the channel depth, but it does affect the dimensions of the other dimensions of the input. So then NL will be NL minus 1 divided by SL. So this will be the layer of our neural network. This is the filtering layer, and we'll add multiple layers of this. Similar to the fact that we have multiple number of hidden layers, right? We will add multiple filtering layers at different stages of the convolutional neural network. So whenever you look at a CNN image and you look at a filtering layer, you should understand that this is what is going on beneath that layer. Usually, in every filtering layer, there is a filter of a given size, and we have a fixed number of filters in that layer. And remember that the third dimension of the filter tensor is fixed, and that is equal to the number of filters in the previous layer. Do keep that in mind. Now you must be thinking that if this is a layer of the if this is a layer of the convolutional neural network, where are my weights? When we looked at neural networks, feed forward neural networks, every neuron had weights associated with it, right? So where are the weights here? It turns out that the weights are actually entries in the filters itself. So whenever I construct any filter like this, so here I am constructing a 2 by 2 by 4 filter, right? So every 2 by 2 thing will have some kind of entries here, point 0.2, point 0.3, point 0.4, etc. And then it will be 4 times. So every filter has entries, every filter has mathematical entries, and these are the weights which we will try to optimize in the convolutional neural network. So many students don't get this clear that they think they have understood filtering layers, but when asked the question what is being exactly optimized here, they cannot explain. Just keep this in mind that when we look at convolutional neural networks and filters, what is actually being optimized is the entries in this filter. When I say filter, it's not just the dimensions, right? Every filter will have some numerical values associated with it. Those are being optimized. So for example, in every layer we have ML filters, right? The number of filters at a layer L is ML, and the size of that filter is KL by KL by ML minus 1, right? So we will have ML chunks of weights. One chunk of weight is one filter, and it will have these many parameters KL by KL by ML minus 1. So you can think of at every weight chunk will have KL by KL by ML minus 1 parameter, and there are ML weight chunks like these. These are the weights which we will optimize. So when we try to optimize the convolutional neural networks and when we use gradient descent in one of the next lectures, keep in mind what we are exactly trying to optimize over here. So whenever someone tells you about the filters, the first thing which should come to your mind is this kind of a visual animation. First thing should happen in your mind is this kind of a visual animation. Let me showcase the animation once more. This kind of visual animation should come to your mind first. Whenever someone says about the filtering layer, what I'm showing on the screen right now, that's the number one thing. Second thing you should keep in mind is that every filter essentially has weights which are being optimized. And the third thing is that whenever you get confused by nomenclature in convolutional neural network, just keep this image flow in mind, which I showed to you, and try writing it on a piece of paper. Then it will be much more clearer to you. The concept is really very simple, but people just get confused by tensors which come in the picture. But keep in mind that the depth of the filter at the current layer is equal to number of filters at a previous layer. To understand it, just write down these set of figures, and if you understand that part right, I'm sure you have understood the dimensions of convolutional neural networks. If you get the dimensions right, you will understand the rest of CNNs in an easier manner. I hope you are understanding these lectures. uh, in the subsequent lectures, we'll be looking at max pooling layer, the entire CNN architecture, and finally optimizing the weights in the convolutional neural network. Thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.